Hey guys, welcome back to another Redstone Science. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the charcoal machine. Now, before we really get into it, I figured it to be important that we discuss how hoppers work with a furnace. So we have a furnace here. I have blocks of coal in here for the time being, because coal is typically the usual furnace fuel. And you'll see that over here, you can consider these two as inputs and this as an output, which might make it easier to understand where to place hoppers. Because if we look at the top here, and if I can remember to, I meant to have this on hand already. Place some, say, iron as we normally would. It's going to feed into the top slot over here. And once it's done cooking, it's going to put an iron ingot over here. Now you're not going to even see it because it's going to come straight down here into this hopper. So it might flash. Let's wait for another one. Yeah, there was a little flash there. And that went straight into here. So that makes sense, right? So items go into the top. Cooked items come out of the bottom. And fuel goes in through the side. So we have this hopper here. It's full of coal blocks. It's missing one as it needed one to start cooking. So that's how this is what we need to know to figure out how to make the rest of the machine. Now what we do here, as you can see, there is charcoal on the bottom, because when you cook oak woods, you make charcoal, and you can use charcoal as a fuel. So what you want to do is sort of using the hoppers, have it loop back into this slot. So you want items from this slot to go back into this slot. So it comes out from the bottom and up to here. The best way to transport things vertically is with a dropper. And you see items are going to flow into there. So what you need to have happen is have a redstone input going on and off here to allow items to flow up top. And that's going to fill up the fuel section here. Is it? Should. Oh, this is also powering the hopper there. So slight misstep on my part there. Let me grab one of these and do this. Maybe this will work better. There we go. Yep. More charcoal flowing into there. And if we keep doing that, this is going to start to fill. Well, this will fill up first, and then the hopper over here will start to fill up. So if we keep doing this, items are going to stay up here. Alright, so continuing on. Now you can see the charcoal is just going to end up in this dropper here. Now you're probably going to want to have a place to store them. So that's where we're going to come to this design over here by Minecraft with Dummies. I came across this through Generic B's channel. He mentioned it when he was building this for his own personal use. Now, where to begin? I guess let's follow where the charcoal would go once it starts cooking. Let's start doing that. That way we can actually see the whole thing running. Charcoal is going to cook and end up over here. It's going to get sucked in by this hopper over here, which you can see is pointing towards the chest, but I've mentioned it before. Items in a hopper will try to go to an inventory to the side, but if there's a hopper underneath, the items in there will be pulled down by the hopper below before it has a chance to go here, and so long as this hopper is capable of taking items. So what's going to happen, as it's probably already happened a couple of times, whoops, charcoal is going to then come down to here. Once charcoal hits this item, once items or charcoals hit this hopper, being confused, it's going to then power this comparator, which powers this block, powers this torch, powers this torch. So this signal is going to get up to here at about 3 ticks later. Then 2 more ticks later, after giving the charcoal a chance to get into the dropper, because you can see here the hopper is facing towards that dropper. That's going to get powered, and that's going to send the charcoal up into the next dropper up here, where a charcoal is already sitting. Now, when you power a full block output, it's going to function as it would, but it's also going to power the blocks adjacent to it. So, it's going to power this dropper, which already has a piece of charcoal, and that's going to go up into this hopper over here. Once that happens, so long as there is room in this furnace, it's going to then place that charcoal into the furnace. So what happens then if there isn't room? Sorry, my screen is flashing a bit there. The charcoal here, if it's full, is going to start piling up in here. Once there's 1 in here, this comparator will power, which will power this redstone here, powering this repeater, which then locks off this hopper. Once this hopper is powered, no items from this hopper can then flow through it. So all extra charcoal will start to flow into here, and that's how you get your surplus. Now, as beautifully elegant and tiny as this design is, it does have a flaw. And that flaw is, if this chest fills up, items are going to start backing up in here, and once that happens, the whole thing jams up. So you got to be careful of that. You got to make sure that the hopper just below the furnace stays empty at all times. So you want to make sure that you either don't overfill it or that you have a place for all those items to go. Now, because of that flaw, I came up with a separate design. Now, this one I'm actually currently using in my LP because it's so nice and tiny, and I don't really need that big a surplus of charcoal. I can keep an eye on it the way it is set up right now. But if you have this in a very large automated thing and you just have tons of wood that you can throw into a machine, you might want to look into this, because this allows items to pile up into this hopper without jamming up the whole thing. So if we can follow this here, this works a little bit differently, but the main components here are all the same. It's just the redstone that's different. So as a piece of charcoal comes from here, go through this hopper into this one. It'll then go into this dropper here. These are all facing up, by the way, if you didn't catch that. I'm sorry if I failed to mention that. So once a piece of charcoal gets into this dropper, this comparator powers this redstone here, powering this dropper here, which would then release this charcoal into the hopper above. Now, before I get into why that has 46, the power will also power this repeater over here. After 1 tick, we'll then send the charcoal that initially set off the dropper above into the dropper above. So it will then reset to look like this. So the bottom one's empty, top one has one hanging out in there. Now, we can see here, same thing again. Charcoal ends up in here, tries to flow into here. If it can't, then this is going to pile up to 46 charcoal. And the reason it's exactly 46 is because this comparator is powering this hopper down here. As it does that, it needs a signal of 3 coming out of this comparator, which takes 46 items to do. Now, what that allows this hopper to do is, again, the same as before, stop collecting charcoal, and it allows this charcoal to flow into another storage area. Now, as I said, if that storage area happens to become full, this will back up all the way. And once that's backed up, it'll start backing up in here. And then all that happens is you just need to wait until you get more charcoal, or use up more of your charcoal, and this will continue to start working immediately once there's room in here. So that's pretty much it. This is a little confusing though, so I think I'm gonna do something I normally don't do, which is a straightforward tutorial. Now, usually the whole purpose of this series is just kind of to have you learn redstone, but I should build this one too. Let me start with this one. I should have done this before. So what we're gonna do is gonna take this back a little bit so I have some room to record it from. Is we're gonna need a furnace and place that here, and then we need hoppers. Now, what way you have this hopper going really doesn't matter so much, so long as it's not facing into the hopper below. So we can do something like this, or this dropper. You can't have it facing this hopper or this dropper. So you could have it facing this way, you can have it facing back, you can have it facing this way as well. Though I guess back would be harder to work with. So this way is fine. And then we want this hopper to face into this dropper down here. Have two droppers facing up, and this is going to be the same as over there. This block I don't think needs to be there. So what we're going to do from here is I didn't set up to do a tutorial. I should have done that. We are going to put a comparator facing into a block, and again, it's still unprepared. Don't worry, once I'm done with this, I'll get some whoops. There we go. Now I'll have my items. There we go. All items set and ready to go. From here, we have a torch out the side from this comparator going into that block. There's a block on top of that torch, and another torch being powered by that one below. From there, we're going to put a piece of redstone there, just across from the torch. And I thought I was ready. Grab that repeater. And a repeater here on 2 ticks. Now, I haven't played around with the timing on this. I just know that in Minecraft with Dummies tutorial that he set it to 2 ticks, so I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not even going to really question it too much. And I forgot this hopper here. So you want to have this sort of loop going on with a chance for items to escape. So from here, we want a comparator coming out of this top hopper here, and a block there, on top of that redstone, and that's done. But again, you're going to want a place for all the charcoal in this hopper to go, otherwise this will back up and it will jam. Now, I'm not emphasizing that to say that this is a bad design in any way. I love this design. I think it is a really good design, but it does have its flaw. So you need to keep on top of that and make sure that you avoid it. I think all you really need to do to fix it in case it does jam is clear this hopper, and this dropper. Once those are empty, just make sure that there's only one piece of charcoal in here. Or, actually no, yeah, that's fine. Once that happens, as it should, once these are empty, I'm sorry, I'm derping around here a little bit, then this should all work. Only one piece of charcoal should be in there. So yeah, these are empty, one piece of charcoal in there, and then this will start working again. So, come back to mine. Sorry for the strange layout of this episode. I decided last second to do a tutorial of it, so it's kind of wonky. Let's see, from here we can do, whoops, our droppers here. And again, we're just setting this up as we had it before on this design here. So we have that, we have our furnace on top, and a hopper inside. Now, from here, instead of taking a signal out of this hopper, we're going to be taking one out of this dropper. And what we're going to do here is use this piece of redstone in a blob like that to go from here into this block up here. Now that's going to send the piece of charcoal that's waiting in there up into the hopper. And if we do this, we're going to need a block up here to block that off, so make sure that it powers that. And we're going to do this. Now that again, one tick later, the item in here is then going to be pushed into the dropper above. So from here, we want to set up our lock so that items can continue to flow through without there being, for this to continue cooking charcoal without jamming up the system. We put blocks down as I showed. You want to make sure that this block is just below the hopper and that the redstone itself is pointing at it. If you put this one block higher, it will cut off both hoppers and it won't work properly. So there we go. So once there are 46 pieces of charcoal in here, that will power this all the way down to here, powering this hopper, allowing charcoal to then flow out wherever you want to store it. So that's going to be it. I hope you were able to follow that. I'm not used to doing block by block tutorials. That's going to be it for this episode. And as always, I'd love to see if you guys can come up with something better. So feel free to make a video reply of any sort. But thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys next time.